Marriage. So let's discuss marriage. And I think it's only fitting for us to go back to the beginning where marriage first started, which is back in Genesis, through Adam and Eve. And because it started through them, that would make them our example of marriage. Now, I know that might not be the example that you're looking for, but I think it's the best example for marriage. All right, so let's go ahead and go into Genesis 2, 2:23 through 25. And Adam said, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed." Okay, so let's break that down. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male, female, created he them. That's Genesis 1:27. So first, let's go ahead and figure out who Adam is. Adam equals man. And when God tells you in Genesis 1, he created man in his own image, he created he, him, he, them. That's Adam and Eve. Now, Adam was named Adam from God, but Eve was formed from Adam's rib. One became two, separated and equal, but they're one flesh. And that's what marriage is. One flesh. Essentially, everything you do, don't do, say, or don't say affects your marriage because you are one. And so one of the examples, or one of the things that God tells us in the Bible, is about being yoked. Now, those who farm and those who have been on farmlands, it's something that's used for cattle or whatever you're using on the farm to move a plow. And typically you have two yoked together to go the same direction, pulling the plow and tilling the field. And so for that, that is really what's used as an example also about having a good marriage, because you have to be evenly yoked. You have to be together going the same direction in order for you to be successful in a marriage. A scripture that I have that you kind of go a little bit further in that is 2 Corinthians 6:14. "Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness?" So really the main thing is you want to be yoked with someone who doesn't have to be someone with the same mindset, someone going, doing the same thing, think the same way, but you do have to be going the same direction. That's important, because if you're heading to the left and the other person's heading to the right, you're never going to move forward. You both have to be moving the same direction. Another thing that is very, very huge when it comes to marriage is nakedness. And yes, I did say nakedness. Nakedness in reality, in the way it was created, does not necessarily mean fleshly nakedness. Nakedness means nothing to hide. And you have no secrets. Naked means you're an open book. And that's something that is most definitely needed in a marriage. You can't have things hidden and then try to move forward. You're always going to have issues if you continue to hide things from your spouse. So the first thing is, we're created in the image of God. And thinking about that further, God is a triune God. And when you think about our relationship as man and woman, it's the same thing. He looks at us as man because he only sees us as one. So why call out both when you only see us as one? And that is how we should see ourselves. And the problem with a lot of marriages and a lot of relationships, period, is there's a lot of selfishness brought into it. We're looking about how things can benefit us individually instead of us as a whole. And that's not how God made us. The next part that I want to talk about is the misconception that the Bible elevates man more so than woman. So the first thing is that Eve was formed from Adam. And that was in Genesis 2:7, also Genesis 2:21 and 22, and also reference Matthew 19:4-6. And then the second thing is the purpose of both being formed is for a union. So we were pulled from one body just to be united still. So we're still separate, but called to be united. Called to be a union. That's the main purpose. And the third one is we were created in the image of God. Just like I said earlier, God is a triune God, and man and woman, we were made one flesh and still considered one flesh. And the fourth part is just simply our success is built on us working together because we were created to be a union together. Man and woman. That is the purpose for us to be created to unite and to create life and have dominion over the earth. It wasn't just a call for one of us. It was a call for both of us. So with Adam and Eve being the example of marriage, let's not also make the mistake they made. It doesn't matter whether Eve was manipulated by the serpent. They wouldn't have fell into sin unless both ate the fruit. Because again, remember, they are one flesh. So automatically you saw once he ate the fruit, instantly they realized they were naked. That is very important because they realized that everything was in the open, and now all of a sudden they wanted to cover up. They weren't completely open to God anymore. Now they're hiding from God. And that's why that was so important that they, that was said next in the scripture is they covered themselves with fig leaves, and then they tried to hide from God when they heard him walking through the garden. It's not just the physical portion of that, which is also why God is coming down asking, where are they? Because they physically, not just physically hid themselves, but they cut themselves off from him. So that was one part of the relationship. And just like I showed in one of the diagrams, you have three parts of the relationship. You have God, and you have Adam and Eve. That's where the connection comes in at. So one part was cut off once they both ate the fruit. So they cut off the connection to God. The second part that got cut off is once, instead of Adam and Eve owning up and coming together and telling God what happened and just saying, hey, we made a mistake. They pushed blame from one to the next. There was no togetherness. So that selfishness pushed the division between man and woman. And this is why I believe we have the issue now when it comes to marriages. Now, the New Testament offers up some scriptures that are for marital instructions. And those scriptures would be Colossians 3:18-19, as well as Ephesians 5:22-33. And I'll let you read that on your own time. But I'm kind of going to just kind of do a rough overview on some of it. But the main thing that you get from all of it is that it reiterates the creation of marriage back in Genesis. So for the women, where it talks about support and submit and things of that nature, remember, like I said, when God created man, Adam was created first. So everything that you get blessing-wise came to you from Adam. And so it's not saying that, hey, you have to submit because the man is greater or anything of that nature. It's really placed in order. Man was created. And for the man, really what it tells you is that the man should love his wife as himself because, one, she came from him. So no matter what, if you love yourself as a man, you need to love your wife just as much, if not more, because she is a part of you. And so, like I said, it really reiterates the creation of marriage, or the creation of man in general. Also, husbands, we are called to love our wives as Christ loves the church and gave himself for the church. And we ourselves should want to give our lives for our wives. It's the ultimate sacrifice. It's the ultimate show of love. And so for the men, it actually ends with Ephesians 5:31. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. And that's the main theme of marriage 1. Now let me go ahead and read verse 32. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Christ and the church. And that leads us into marriage 2. It's the marriage of God and the church, or what I like to say, the wedding.